Joined now by the ABC's business editor, Peter Ryan from Sydney. Peter, good morning to you. Rupert Murdoch very insistent repeatedly during that second day of testimony that he knew nothing of the phone hacking scandal.
Oh, hello, Michael. Look, it's been fascinating viewing over the last couple of nights, and my bedtime's been a bit later than usual because it's just been incredible to see someone like Rupert Murdoch being quizzed and being characteristically very blunt about what he knew. I guess my main takeout from this and from what we've heard over the last few nights is that while Rupert Murdoch may have had a view of how ethics should operate in News Corporation as chairman and chief executive, his executives at the coalface, that is from editors-in-chief and editors down, had a very different view about what needed to be done in the gathering of news. And I think that's what we learned last night, particularly when Rupert Murdoch pretty much admitted that he would have closed the News of the World down had he knew what was going on, and admitted, I think, the night earlier that his main focus was on the Sun newspaper, the big money earner for News International and not News of the World. So some fascinating revelations there. It
was very fascinating, and we saw a much more combative Rupert Murdoch last night, didn't we?
Yes, he was very combative, and it appeared that some of the questions were really starting to get under his skin, and he was showing really what has been or must be enormous pressure on Mr. Murdoch, who is after all 81, performing under high pressure before I guess a global audience interested in this entire inquiry, and he was bristling and challenging his questioner, but I think that despite all of that, admitting that he had made errors in not closing down the News of the World early enough is a pretty big admission from a man who said just a year ago that he was having the humblest day of his life, and it's been looking as though he's been having a few more humble days over the last couple of days. Eating lots, very large servings of humble pie, and he also, in another candid moment, spoke of the long-term damage to his personal reputation. Yeah, look, there's no doubt that Rupert Murdoch's reputation has been tarnished by this, and not to mention the reputation of his son James Murdoch. But I think it goes to the issue of the culture of News Corporation over the years, and the very high level of trust that Rupert Murdoch has placed in all his editors and senior executives right around the world. Not those in Mahogany Row in News Corporation headquarters in New York, but those type of editors who are meant to be walking the floor and who are meant to be supervising the business of news gathering and ensuring that remains within ethical standards. And he did appear to be quite genuinely alarmed, but it should be no surprise given that most people who work in the media industry know that if you are high up in the editorial ranks at News Limited here in Australia or News Corporation, that you are pretty much in the family. And perhaps there is a need for some type of firewall or Chinese wall there to ensure that ethical breaches don't take place. And it's pretty clear from what Rupert Murdoch has said that there are new guidelines. It is pretty much a new company.
And finally, the pressure's far from off for the Murdochs, because that House of Commons committee, which has been investigating phone hacking in particular, has announced it is going to release its report next week.
Yes, that will be essential reading for anyone who is following this. But Michael, I will note, just as with yesterday, News Corporation shares trading in New York have actually risen. This morning, News Corporation shares closed up 28 cents at $19.90 US a share, and I think that's more evidence that while, or particularly institutional investors appear to be still quite concerned about what is going on, the main investors appear to be more relaxed that newspapers these days make up a very small proportion of News Corporation, but there does remain a lot of concerns about the power that the Murdoch family does have over this this corporation, and we've mentioned before the Murdoch discount factor that relates to perceptions of the nepotism, etc. So there's a long way to go, and I think this year's annual general meeting will be a cracker as well.
It will be very fascinating. Peter Ryan, thank you very much for your analysis this morning.
Thanks, Michael.